environmentalism, poverty, and development. These are the things I want to talk about today, and my positions thereof on. Many people in the environmental movement oppose building mines in developing countries, accessing resources in developing countries, etc., because of polluting the environment, or the concept of the noble savage, the idea that the people who are living in these tiny homes without running water, without indoor plumbing, are living a noble life, and they want to live that way, and they would never want to be forced to live like us in the West. That this is somehow an environment that they would prefer to what we have. So they go out and intercede for the locals, often without referring or talking to the locals in the process, to stop any development of that land, because it damages nature and it might, disrupt the idyllic life of these people in these small, poor communities, because they're happier than we are. Many of these environmentalists never have lived in poverty, not real poverty, not the kind of poverty where you don't know if you're going to get food tomorrow, or there's no electricity, or there's 6 of you in one-room houses, or you have to have an outhouse for you in the middle of winter time. They don't live in poverty. They don't know what it's like to be poor. They just don't seem to like the life they're in now in our industrialized Western world. Therefore, they feel they want to impose this idyllic lifestyle that they've created in their heads upon the poor, who they think are actually happy being that way. They also claim to block these things for environmental reasons, to protect nature. But many of these same places are stripped of their rainforests, they're stripped of their resources by the native populations, who are desperate to get money. And they'll get it any way they can, even if that means tearing down the rainforest, or even if that means digging up the ground, or even if that means killing the wildlife, or capturing birds to sell to dealers. They need money. And that's all they know. Why do they need money? Because their children are starving. They need money because they're desperate. They need money because they help. Well, then the environmentalists say, well, we'll tell you how to grow things on this land. We'll tell you how to do stuff like that. But they never follow through on it. And even if they do, 9 times out of 10, their ideas are utter failures. Why? Because they don't know the land of the locals. They aren't really committed to improving the lives of the locals. They claim that, well, tourism will carry the day. Well, unfortunately, in many places tourism doesn't. The places are either too remote, hard to get to, and what tourist wants to walk through a shanty town with people living out of makeshift houses with leaky roofs and open sewer pits where they have their waste material and such. I mean, I don't know too many tourists who go to that kind of facility. The bottom line is, a lot of the environmental movement is anti-progression. And while they can get away with it in the West, most of these environmentalists have never been really living in those environments. I mean, they might go visit for a month or two, but they always have the ability to come out of it and go back home and live comfortably in a Western industrialized world. Does progress alter nature? Yes, it does. Look at Europe. We don't have nearly as much forest as we did before, but guess what? They have big cities now. They have universities. They have cars. They have electricity. They have indoor plumbing. They have all these other things. That comes with those activities. Look at the United States. Same process exists. Now, I'm not advocating polluting the world. I am advocating progress that is reasonable. I'm trying to promote a middle ground personally. I would like to see strip mining take place. But when you're done strip mining, you refill the area, you replant the grass or the forests or whatever, and then you move to the next area and you do your strip mining there, and so on and so forth. So that you do it in a systematic, productive way that does not create excessive amounts of pollution. And you reconstruct the environment to the best of your ability after you're done. I think that's far more reasonable than telling somebody, you know, you're sitting on top of $20 trillion worth of oil, but I refuse to have you get a job or have somebody open up a facility there that might employ you and get you a job so that you can pay for your kids to go to school and you get to have nice roads and stuff, because that's idyllic environment and we don't want to disrupt it. A lot of the modern environmentalist movements seem to have a deep hatred for the poor. You know, they want to idealize them, but they don't want to live that way. Many of them make excellent incomes, but they don't want to actually live poor. They just want other people to live poor. As a conservative, I believe in prosperity for everybody. That means if someone's poor, I want them to prosper. I want them to acquire industry. I want them to acquire wealth and power around themselves. I want them to succeed. And many in the environmentalist movement don't. They want them to stay poor. They want them to stay hungry. They want them to die young. And that's the way it is, because that's what they deem to be ideal, but they would never give it to themselves. Thank you very much. That's my opinion on excessive environmentalism versus reasonable environmentalism versus no environmentalism. All right? Thank you very much and have a good day.